Hello my spookies, welcome to Joe's Ghost Diaries. Today we're going to be talking about the investigating basics. So if you want to start getting into paranormal investigating, here's what you need to know. First of all, professionalism. You need to be professional when you go into a location. Why? Because it makes you and your evidence credible and it helps you gain respect. It's just kind of a good rule of thumb everywhere you go to be professional when you're doing something professional. Even if you're an amateur ghost hunter, you should still be doing good things. How to be professional. First of all, be respectful of both the living and the dead. The person who let you into the place is just as important as the person you're talking to, even if they're deceased. Show up on time and completely sober when you come to a location. If you've scheduled a time, show up when you're supposed to and be ready to rock and roll. Don't have anything in your system. You don't need anything to relax. You don't need anything to take the edge off. It makes your evidence less credible and it just looks unprofessional. When you're on the investigation, use appropriate language. Just imagine if while you're swearing or saying something inappropriate, you get the most amazing EVP ever. So now every time you want to play that EVP for someone, they have to hear you swearing or saying something inappropriate. Remember, anything you say in an investigation could end up getting replayed over and over again. So make sure it's something you want to be replayed over and over again. Get permission for every place that you investigate. That's super important because the last thing you want is to trespass in a location. Because again, why would I respect you? Why would I want you to come investigate if you can't even respect somebody's property? What you should wear. You're probably going to guess this, but you should wear dark colored clothing. You want to avoid loud or reflective items such as jewelry or shoes that are going to make loud noises. If you have long hair like I do, you should pull it up into a ponytail or bun or something out of your way. Why? The dark color helps, as well as not wearing reflective items, helps reduce the chance of something reflecting off and ending up in a picture and looking like an orb. The reason not to wear loud things such as loud jewelry or loud shoes is for EVPs. You don't want someone, oh my gosh, listen to these footsteps, but it's really just you walking around in high heels. Why you want your hair pulled up is because sometimes strands of hair can get in front of the camera and end up looking like wispies or ghost evidence on camera. So it's just to help reduce as much contamination of evidence as possible. Equipment you should have. First of all, you don't need a lot of fancy equipment. You totally can, but it's not necessary to go ghost hunting. Things that you should have, though, a flashlight, so you can see and not trip over things and die. An audio recorder. So I just have a little cheap one. Connect a microphone to it. I can connect my headphones to it. I can connect it to my computer to cut things. It's nothing fancy. You could even use your phone audio recorder if you need to. Although I will get to phone usage on an investigation in a second. Camera. Again, you can use your phone, but I'll get to that in a second. A still camera is good and video camera is good. EMF detector, totally cool if you have it. They're available with like hardware stuff because electricians will use them to find wires in walls. I do not own one. I'm looking into buying one. So again, it's totally not something you need. One thing about EMF detectors though is that they will pick up on cell phone interference. So either leave your cell phone behind or put your phone on airplane mode, because airplane mode will help negate interference that it may cause. So you can still use the camera and the recorder, just put it on airplane mode, and you probably should put it on silent too, again, to avoid contaminating EVPs and stuff. Even vibrate can make a sound that'll sound funky on recording. A spirit box. I also do not own a spirit box. There's lots of cool devices out there that you can buy for investigating, but you don't need any of that if you can't afford it, like me. I would say avoid phone apps because your phone is not designed to pick up EMFs, and it's not designed to be a spirit box. And usually those apps are pre-programmed with pre-designated responses. I know some people use them and love them. I just think that they're not reliable for paranormal investigating. So I won't use a phone app ever. The day of the investigation. You won't normally be investigating during the day because of the light and the noise interference. So these are some things to do to prep yourself for the investigation. So you want to charge everything and check the batteries and all of your equipment. You want to make sure you're hydrating and eating well, get a good night's sleep, maybe take a daytime nap if you can. You don't want to be eating during the investigation, again, because we're talking about noise interference. Even drinking water can cause a noise interference, but I would bring water on an investigation. I would just say every time I was drinking, hey, I'm drinking water, that's what the sound is. Make sure you're rested, make sure you're ready to rock and roll. You want to be at your best. At the investigation, turn your phone off or put it on airplane mode. So that way notifications won't make any noise and you won't interfere with your EMF detector if you're using an EMF detector. Be respectful of both the living and the dead. I know I said that earlier, but it's super important. Respect others. Always. Leave the location as good as you left it, just like you would if you're going to a park or the beach. So that way you're welcome back there. And again, so your reputation can be in good standing. If like somebody's like, hey, they want to come investigate here. How did the investigation at your place go? Oh, it went really well. They cleaned up everything. You want to make sure that you have a good reputation in the ghost community because your reputation is everything. Your credibility is everything. The second you lose that, then you're going to have nothing. So you don't want to do that. Don't go places that you're not allowed to go. So if they say, hey, you can go into this building, but please don't go on the top floor. Respect their privacy. And it could be a safety thing. If you have two buildings on a location and one building you can investigate and the other you can't, maybe the building that you can't go in is condemned and it's not safe for you to be in there. Just be safe and respect boundaries. Please. I know some people will disagree with me on this, but no provoking. Harassing the living or the dead is not good. I can pretty much say that we all agree that harassment is bad. So harassing the dead is also bad. I do not recommend it. Harassing can cause an attachment of something that's not so nice. So you might want to be careful with that. Again, be respectful of both the living and the dead. Stay together, at least in groups of 2 or 3. You can back each other up as witnesses. It promotes safety. If your group is far away from the recorder, it can sound like an EVP, so you want your group to stay together. If you're going into an area alone, I know a lot of groups do that, but they always have somebody nearby to make sure if something happens that someone can come and help them. That's important. If you want to go somewhere alone, make sure you have your buddy close by to protect you in case you need to get pulled out of there. If you twist your ankle and can't walk, there's a lot of reasons why you would want to keep your buddy close by, even if you're alone. Responsible flashlight wielding. Don't shine it in someone's eyes. Don't shine it in someone's camera. Don't use it to scare your fellow investigators or anyone who's with you. Seems kind of silly, but I think it's important, especially if we're covering the basics. Flashlights are your tools to help you see and help for safety. And in an investigation where you're trying to make sure people are safe and you're getting good, credible evidence, you don't want to risk contaminating your evidence or causing injury to any of your investigators. Responsible picture taking. You want to make sure that your flash is turned off because 2 reasons. 1, you can blind people with your flash. 2, flash catches dust orbs and moisture orbs so well. If you're trying to prevent catching those fake orbs and you're again, saving the eyes of your fellow investigators, you want to turn your flash off. If you cannot turn your flash off, then please warn your fellow investigators prior to taking a photo by saying, "Picture please," and then you can snap your photo just so that way that they have time to avert their eyes, so that way they don't get blinded in the dark. Avoid extraneous noises. Hello, Pepe. Hello, Pepe. It's the baby. Oh. Okay, I'm almost done. No whispering, no foot tapping, no pen clicking. Anything like that is just going to end up particularly annoying on the recording. Whispering is especially tricky because it can sometimes mimic an EVP. You also don't want to talk over each other, again, because you want EVPs to be as clear as you can get them. So if an EVP is talking over you and you know that nobody talked over anybody else on the investigation, then you got a pretty good chance you got an EVP. That's pretty cool. If you make any noises by accident, let's say you forget that you're not supposed to whisper and you accidentally whisper, call it. Or if your shoe squeaks on the floor, if you knock into something, just say, "Hey, that noise was me." That also helps clarify what's a paranormal noise, what isn't a paranormal noise. Don't say something on an investigation that you wouldn't want replayed over and over again. Again, going back to don't swear, don't say stuff that's inappropriate, because if you get an EVP, you don't want to have to replay the constant sound of you swearing or saying something inappropriate. It just makes you look unprofessional. Take your time in each room or area that you're investigating in, because even if you're not getting something in the moment, you might be getting something on recorder. Don't be afraid to let there be big pauses, because that can be where you get a voice, or you hear footsteps, or something. Don't be afraid to let silence happen. Call out when you feel things, even if you're not the sensitive person in the group, because someone else may also be feeling that, and you could be catching an EVP or something on your camera at the same time as you're saying something, which helps collaborate your evidence. If you have someone saying they feel something plus an EVP, now we have two pieces of evidence together that makes them stronger. After the investigation, so now we're at the end of the investigation, you want to make sure that you say goodbye to both the living and the dead, and tell specifically the dead not to follow you home. This is how you avoid attachments, by being respectful, saying thank you for talking with us, thank you for appearing on camera, please stay here and do not follow us home. Simple as that. Doesn't have to be any crazy rituals. Debrief with your group. Go around, say, "So what happened today? What did you experience? What did you experience?" Especially if you have more than one group. Let's say you have two buildings and you investigated building 1, then you went to building 2. Your other group was in building 2 and then they went to building 1. You want to debrief with them and see what they experienced. Especially do that immediately following the investigation when it's still fresh in your head. You want to have a secretary or somebody writing down all of your experiences, because that helps you remember what happened on each investigation, and you can look back and you can see, oh, this happened, this happened, this happened. It can help when you're looking back in investigations, be like, okay, well, what was my evidence at this location? What was my evidence at this location? So within the next couple of days after the investigation, you want to review all your evidence, all your camera footage, all of your recording, while it's still fresh in your mind and you still remember what happened. You also want somebody who was there in the group. You want that person to be going over your recording or your footage, because someone who wasn't there may not remember certain details and may think that a sound is an EVP when it really wasn't. Just a fail-safe in case that somebody didn't call it out when they were whispering or something like that. So yeah, that is Investigating Basics. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay stay spooky, and I love you.